Well, hello everyone. I'm Sibyl Star, and I am here to give the astrology forecast for the Gemini New Moon, which occurs at 16 degrees, 17 minutes of Gemini on June 6th at 5:37 a.m. Pacific time. As you can see, I am sitting in front of light language, and light language, Gemini is about language. It's about communication. It's about light language. It's all kinds of language. And with the solar flares and magnetic storms, geomagnetic storms that we have been having as we travel through the photon belt, I feel like there's a tremendous amount of light language coming in. And light language are codes. They are codes that help us raise our vibration, but they're also data, they're information. It's like new ideas that maybe haven't been here in the field are now opening up different ways of understanding ourselves and our world and how to navigate these new energies and the ascension process that we are in. Okay, so anyway, and it's about magic, words, and Gemini is the sign of communication, and of words and thoughts. It's ruled by Mercury of the mind. And so that's what this new moon, I feel, is very deeply about. It's a very strong theme of how we use the magic of our thoughts and words to create as we align with our hearts. Okay, now I'm going to show you the chart. We have 5 planets in Gemini. All right, so here we are. So here is the new moon, June 6, 2024, 5:37 a.m. Pacific time, here in Santa Rosa. All right. So what we have here is we have the sun and the moon at 16 degrees, 17 minutes of Gemini. We've got a tightly conjunct Venus here at 16 degrees, 48 minutes, very tight conjunction. So it brings in a very Venusian flair. So Venus, about love, creativity, and beauty is also part of this new moon. We've also got Mercury at 6 degrees, Jupiter at 2 degrees, 42 minutes, and Sedna has just moved into Gemini. On this chart, we do have the ascendant and part of fortune, but that's just here on the West Coast. Other places wouldn't have that, so I'm not really counting those. All right, so we also have Saturn here at 18 degrees of Pisces, which is in a square, and a square is a challenge. It motivates us. It keeps pushing us until we deal with something. Square the new moon. We also have Mercury, Jupiter, and Sedna all trine Pluto. Okay, let's talk about what that means. And then we've still got this whole complex here in Aries. We've got the North Node, we've got Chiron, we've got Mars. Mars is in its own sign, so it makes it extra strong here. Eris is traveling in Aries. And then this is Hygeia. I use Hygeia as one of the archetypes in my reading. So she's just always in my chart. Okay, so there we go. So now let's talk about what all of this means. Well, first, I just want to say, as we go through and talk about what this means, be paying attention as to where this falls in your chart. Okay, and with the underlying theme of how we use our thoughts and words to create, and how we create magic through that. So let's just say here it's in the 3rd house, because this is the house of Gemini. This is what is called a 0 degrees Aries chart. So everything is in its natural house. So if you have this in the 3rd house, if you have an Aries ascendant, this might give rise to new ideas, new course of study, new information coming in. Let's just say it's in your 6th house, your house of healing. You might become aware of how your thoughts and feelings as well, because we've also got Venus here. Your thoughts and feelings as well impact your health, and how you can use your thoughts and feelings how you can use them in a way to create good health, and just so on around the chart. The 8th house, we might be looking at some new occult information, digging into the deeper mysteries of life. 10th house, it could be related to your mission, your calling in life, some new downloads, some new ideas coming in, some new direction. In the 12th house, our connection with spirit, some very powerful spiritual teachings, so on and so on. All right, so let us get back to talking about what all of this means. So, all right, so the Gemini archetype, that's where I always like to start. What does Gemini mean? Gemini is the 3rd sign. It is an air sign. It is mutable. Mutable is about being adaptable to change. And so the Gemini archetype is very versatile, likes variety. Variety is the spice of life for Gemini. The worst thing for a Gemini is to get bored. And so it's really important to stay active. And like they say, curiosity killed the cat, but it is the lifeblood of Gemini. They've come to try every piece of the pie. They're the communicators of the zodiac, the writers. The sun's transit through Gemini can be fun and lighthearted. It is a time to meet new people, explore new ideas, and learn new things. It's a very sociable sign and has a need for connection and networking. And it is also a trickster energy. It teaches us how to not take ourselves so seriously and to be able to laugh at ourselves. Gemini is an intellectual sign. It's like I said, the first air sign. So it is very intellectually oriented, ruled by Mercury, god of the mind. And a good analogy of Gemini is like the journalist, the one who is gathering facts. The opposite sign, Sagittarius, is more like the editor who makes meaning of the facts. What do these facts mean? And part of a journalist's job is to ask questions and to get to the bottom of what is going on here. And it's also one of the archetypes of Gemini is the heretic, the one who questions everything. With Gemini, there are no sacred cows. Like I said, Gemini is a trickster energy, helps us laugh at ourselves, and part of that is the heretical aspect of it, to question, but then to also do study and do research to see what really is true. Okay. Gemini is known for being able to multitask better than any other sign, able to do more than one thing at a time. And of course, it is the sign of the twins. And the twins are about the integration of polarity within ourselves. I mean, how many times, do we hear that phrase, are you a good twin or a bad twin, when we hear someone's a twin, because we know that there is a difference, and it is about the integration of our shadow, knowing that both live within us, okay? And when we can own our own shadow, we no longer project it. I have this really fascinating image I want to show you. So I got this on Facebook, okay? Let me kind of pull myself down here, or okay, so as you can see here, the front of this is what is called the statue of good and evil, a tale of two faces. The front of this is Mephistopheles, and the back is Margareta. And it says it's the double statue of Mephistopheles and Margareta, and is a masterpiece of illusion. It's carved from a single block of wood. It portrays two characters from Goethe's Faust, okay? And so this tells us that the good and the evil live within us both. And the key is, which one are we going, what do we choose? Which one do we choose? Do we make choices? Or no, this is what I want to say. It's the story, of the Indian story, the Native American story. We all have two wolves within us. And the question is, which wolf will you feed? That is the stronger of the two. And the thing is, once we're able to recognize that within ourselves, we no longer project it. Okay, because often what we're seeing is the people mirroring back to us parts of ourselves, and we'll project those parts of ourselves until we can own it. Okay, and of course that is the integration of polarity within us, to stop the us versus them mentality, and know that we all carry everything within us. Okay, all right. So in the integration of our shadow. And one of the shadows, though, of Gemini is, let's say, they're great multitaskers, but can have too many irons in the fire. Chronic busyness. When we are so busy, busyness keeps us from feeling. And, you know, the moon, this is called the new moon. We have the sun and the moon, so that it's really about that feeling space. Another shadow of Gemini is being scattered and unreliable. Now, this new moon conjunct Venus, as I talked about, Venus is goddess of love. And in Gemini, she can be a bit fickle. She really does like the variety of life. Okay. So sometimes it can be hard for Venus and Gemini to make commitments. And that's just part of who they are. All right. But I feel like this new moon is specifically more about important communications, communications from the heart. Venus is goddess of love, self-love, love of others, beauty, and creativity. Words of love. That's the language of love. Venus is bringing in the language of love. Gemini is so much about the mind, about communication. And it's also about, it's very creative, but it is asking us to be aware of how we use our words, speaking with kindness. People do not always remember what we say, but they remember how our words made them feel. So it's just as important how you say something, not just what you have to say. And difficult things can be said with kindness. I think this is a very important teaching for this new moon. Okay, it's about creativity and art, creative writing and singing. And song is the voice of our soul. It's maybe time to start singing again. But I think one of the biggest teachings, it's about the mind being in service to the heart. The mind has really kind of yanked us around a lot throughout the centuries, and we're really being asked to place our consciousness in our heart and let our words come from our heart, speak from the heart. Okay, speak what is true from the heart, but it starts here. Okay. What does the grandmother say? The longest journey you'll ever make is that 12 inches from your head to your heart. Okay, because that's what needs to be connected. And as they say, words and thoughts are light, and they create, sound creates. That statement from the Bible, and the word was made flesh. What that means is that sound creates. The vibration of our sound, of our voice creates, but our voice comes from our thoughts. So it is a train. Okay. And light creates form. Words are light. Words and thoughts are light, but it is our feelings that determine the quality of the form or the frequency. That's what really, because the mind is amoral. It can create good or evil. It really can. It's the intention behind them. And when it comes from our heart, then it is based in love. And I feel like this is one of the main teachings here. Words and thoughts have vibration and frequency based on the intention behind them. Here's a lovely quote from someone named Michelle Price. She says, vibrate in high resonance, the energy of gratitude, compassion, generosity, benevolence, and mutual sharing of ideas. Avoid the judgment of others, because we really don't know what each one has come to have happen in their lives. Raise your thoughts toward noble things instead of sharing useless and terrible news that tend to multiply by television and social media. Be different. Find good things in people and in situations. okay, and really express them. It is a time to tell people how you feel about them. Express yourself in high vibrational words in the language of love, put it that way, to express yourself in the language of love. It can mean so much and it can change our world. Now, the Sabian symbol for this new moon is the head of a youth changes into a mature thinker. And I really think this is where we are. Gemini can be very youthful, you know, and which is great. It's good to have youth and awe-inspiring youth and new ideas and freshness. But as we're learning to use our words, we need to create, we need some maturity. And this can mean going from reacting with the lower emotional nature to thinking with the higher mind. I think that's what this is about. And also about being able to listen and trust one's intuition, the wisdom of our inner voice. Okay. Now, as I showed you, the Saturn is in Pisces is square this new moon, and a square is a challenge, and it's one of those things that kind of just pushes us until we deal with something. Okay, it just won't let rest. It's kind of like a dog there, you know, pulling on your pant leg. You know, pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. Okay. And so once again, a Saturn, you know, is about the elder. And so it's about mature thinking. I think it reinforces the Sabian symbol. Saturn is asking us to become master of our mind and how we use our thoughts and words to create. I want to show you something here. Okay, let's see here. It is called, let's see if I have it on here, a Sri Yantra. Okay. So I really liked this because the Sri Yantra is believed to be a tool for fulfilling all of our desires. It is a motivational symbol and represents our ability to co-create our reality through clarity of mind and thoughts. So it's just a tool for you to use in this process here of creating with our thoughts. All right. So, but another teaching of Saturn in Pisces is very much about slowing down and recognizing that the truth lies within our hearts. That's where it always is. No matter, you know, with Gemini, we can get really scattered and busy, but Saturn is saying slow down if you really want guidance and to connect with your inner self. Right. Okay. And it's about meditating on the flow of your breath during this time. It can really help slow down the lively energy of Gemini into stillness because we do still need that place of stillness. Okay. Saturn in Pisces asks for spiritual discipline, focus, and commitment, and recognizing how important is the power of intention behind our words and as we focus on them, the power of intention and focus on our words to create. But first of all, it's about saying, getting clear on your intention. What is your intention for this new moon? Because it can certainly manifest because magic is in the air because words are magic. Okay. So get clear on your intention, the desire of your heart. Yes, and to remember that we are creators and creative visualization is also part of the process. Mercury also rules like the, you know, vision and seeing. And today I pulled a card in relation to this reading and I got this incredible card. It's the Isis card in the Keepers of the Light deck by Kyle Gray. And the title is Magic Manifesting. And this is what Isis says. This is her guidance. She says, consider that you are moving between worlds when you daydream or create visions and bring life-enhancing ideas into reality. Magic is manifesting all around us, and creative visualization is a big part of the process. And to recognize that it is our self-limiting thoughts of fear and limitation that present the obstacles in the flow of abundance that is the natural state of the universe. In our 3D reality, Saturn can bring up thoughts of fear and limitation. Allow yourself to feel the fear because it has to move through you, because it really is the emotion that needs to move through you. Breathe through them and then release them. And remember that worry is a prayer to create something you don't want. Remember to stay in the present moment, for that is the only true reality. And when you do, if fear does come up, fear of limitation, or just simply limiting thoughts, remember to stay in the present moment, for that is the only true reality. What does your life look like in this moment? Because we never know what is coming down the pike, what miracles are in store for us. Yeah. So make decisions and choices based in love and trust that you will always have what you need, even if you can't see very far ahead of you. The old paradigms of fear, conditioning, suffering, and judgment are being dismantled and consumed by the flames of change, allowing for a fresh perspective to emerge, one that transcends separation and embraces unity. As we clear the field of our own fears, we also clear the field of the collective. It is being cleared and transmuted, because what is coming up, as we're in this process of the breakdown of old paradigms, and there's a lot of fear underlying these paradigms. So as they are coming up, as they are being released, know that you have your own fear that may be attached to the collective fear, but as you breathe through it, you can release your own and heal a big piece of the collective as well. Let it flow through you, but don't attach to it. Release them. And of course, I love this quote. I say it every reading because I love it so much. Saturn is the illusion. There is one reality. Neptune is the reality. There are many. And the truth is, we are each in our own reality in many ways, because we're having our own experience while we share a consensus reality that is changing. Okay. All right. Now, this new moon is also conjunct the star Rigel in the constellation of Orion. It is the brightest star in Orion. I believe it is the left foot. And it's important to know all the stars of Orion are in Gemini, so they're all going to be activated through the month of June. And first off, Rigel is a dragon star, and the dragon stars are warrior stars and protectors of divine will. And divine will is actually our blueprint for life. What we said, this is what our life journey is going to be about, our soul mission, whatever we're doing. But with free will choice, we often step out of that. And so dragon stars are the ones that come in to remind us of the divine will. It is a martial arts master, which takes spiritual discipline. It is a master of all the elements as he moves through the field. So I would just ask, how are you moving through the field? Are you centered and balanced in your thoughts, your emotions, your body, and your spirit? Because that's what this star brings. It brings a being centered within yourself to move through the field in a really confident way. Now, I did want to just speak just a moment to Orion itself and Rigel as in regards to the galactic history related to Orion. So the constellation of Orion had millions of years of war, and they say the Star Wars movies were based on the Orion Wars. There was an evil empire, there was a resistance. It was the archetypal battle of good versus evil. And they were known as the wizards of the galaxy. Magic was very strong there. Because they used psychic warfare, dark magic, and mind control, as well as white magic. So they're masters of magic, and that's another reason Gemini is very connected to magic. Now, in Orion, they fought these wars for millions of years, but ultimately they had a Messiah come and teach them that the wars would always continue outside of themselves as long as they lived in polarity consciousness, the us versus them polarity. And the real battle is the inner battle and the choices we make. Like I said, the native teaching, which wolf will you feed? The goal is to have our free will choice come into alignment with divine will. Okay, that we make choices that are actually in alignment with our soul plan, our soul design. Okay. But ultimately, I don't, what we're also seeing, of course, is the echoes of the Orion Wars here on Mother Earth. And we've had many souls here from Orion, the masters of both, the masters of the dark side, as well as the masters of the really profound and strong spiritual masters. And of course, the dark masters are the ones that are the catalysts for our growth. They're pushing us to make these changes in our lives, these shifts in our own consciousness. Anyway, ultimately, all of the Orion constellation ascended once they made the choice to really look within rather than without. All right, so anyway, but it's also important to pay attention to what is being said in the field here, because like I said, where there's mind control and manipulation, don't let yourself be manipulated by emotional reactions. It's time to become objective and centered within yourself, and use the Saturn mature thinking, really the integration of polarity and owning your stuff. And then that allows you to not be so emotionally attached and projecting things outward. Anyway, and of course, how we use our words to create our world. Now, Mercury is conjunct Jupiter and trine Pluto. In the Tarot, Mercury is the magician. Let's see if I can find this up here. What I want to go here. I want to show you this. Okay. Oh, I've already showed you this. And I'm not seeing the ability to change it. So anyway, let me see here. So Mercury is the magician, and he has the caduceus and in the tarot. And the definition of magic from Dion Fortune is magic is the ability to change consciousness at will. So, and it's also about the use of intention to bend the laws of nature to one's will and to divine will, and behind that lies the intention. Words are magic. We know that. The Egyptians knew this. The power of our words and their words in the magical text, they did not write down the vowels. The Egyptians, we're not talking about the hieroglyphs. They also had other magical text, and only those who knew the words were allowed to use them because they deleted the vowels. Okay. So to be aware of how you're using your words. Be careful how you phrase your sentences, as with your having your intention in mind, and especially when you say I am, because I am is a statement declaring who you are. So you can say the difference between saying I am tired, I am depressed, versus I am happy, I am beautiful, I am full of joy. It's just so important. Words, thoughts, and information have frequency. And so I would just say, and we want them aligned with love. So what would love say? Love of self, love of others. Okay. Yes. Okay. So, and of course, the importance of symbols in magic. Some say as we move into more telepathic, in a 5D world, we're going to be moving more into a telepathic communication. And with that will become more use of symbols. As you can see, light language is symbolic. It's not an alphabet. There's context to each symbol. And just for an example, let's just say when you see a symbol of the crescent moon, what does that mean to you? It says a lot of things. It can it can be very personal, but and we have a collective meaning, and then there are personal meanings. The moon in astrology represents our heart. It represents our emotions. And like Romeo and Juliet, he said, don't swear by the constantly changing moon. Our moods change. There's so The moon can mean mother. It can mean, it's just like I said, so many different things. All right. So, but as we move into a fifth dimensional reality, telepathy is going to come in where we actually don't speak in words. We speak in symbols. Okay. And of course, this, as I talked about, this is trining Pluto. And Pluto is the alchemist who transmutes and transforms everything into love through forgiveness. So another beautiful use of words is the Ho'oponopono prayer. It is a magical healing prayer of love and forgiveness for self and others. Now, I also feel like this is indicating an activation of the higher chakras of 8 to 12. We apparently, I have recently read this, that humanity once had chakras that went all the way up to number 12. And there's chakras that go even higher than that, but that's what humanity had. But they were disabled due to misuse. And as this new frequencies are coming in, these higher chakras, and along with them, the rays of creation that are aligned with them are being activated, and we're going to have access to these higher psychic powers. This is one of the uh, uh, places where we are in our ascension process. And as the old belief systems fall away, deeper levels of cosmic truth will be accessible with our ability to understand them and utilize them in our creation of a new reality. And with that, of course, comes, the light language that is coming in through these solar storms and geomagnetic storms and our photon belt. Okay. And Pluto in Aquarius also reminds us that we are more powerful when our voices come together in prayer, in song, in focused meditation, when our thoughts and voices come together. Aquarius is the age of brotherhood and sisterhood, and the power of group consciousness. We are returning to a group consciousness. This is also something I've recently learned. We have been 12,000 years ago, we were in the age of Leo, which is really about the activation of the individual genius, okay, within ourselves. As we move now into the opposite sign, the age of Aquarius, it is a returning to group consciousness, which is so much more powerful. All right. Okay, so Jupiter in Gemini. Jupiter in Gemini, it just moved into Gemini on May 25th, and it's going to be there for the next coming year. Jupiter brings good fortune, opens doors and opportunities. And so what I would say, Jupiter in Gemini is asking us, what are the magical words that you need to say to open doors for you? And I'm sure that you'll get some personal ones yourself, but I'm going to say one of the most important would be thank you. It would be first on the list. The attitude of gratitude does change consciousness. It is magic and gives us a new perspective. It can shift everything. Jupiter in Gemini asks us to speak positive words into your life every single day. And I would start in the morning. Think big, think healing, think success, think peace. Think happiness. Always start the day with positive energy and know that you deserve it. And I said think. I'm going to say think and say positive words. A magical mantra that I've just recently, or that I saw lately that I thought was really good says, the desires of my heart flow effortlessly to me. And that is a beautiful mantra to start our day with. And I'm going to start doing it every day myself. Okay. And Jupiter also is just a new teaching that I really came into me through Alice Bailey. It says that Jupiter is really a higher dimensional. It's a spiritual. It has moved into a place of a spiritual vibration. It has high vibrational beings living there, as does Venus. Venus and Jupiter are what are called the two great benefics. And they both have higher frequency dimensional beings living there. And Jupiter activates our different bodies. In earth signs, it activates our physical bodies. In water signs, it activates our soul bodies. In fire signs, it activates our spirit bodies. And in air, It activates our higher selves. So to know that Jupiter in Gemini is actually activating our higher selves. Now, Jupiter is also conjunct Sedna. I'm not that deeply in, I don't know the story all that well. So those of you who know the story better might have a different perspective, but this is what it really says to me. And I'll just tell you a little bit what I think is the most important piece. So it is the story of an Inuit maiden who went out in the ocean with her father in a boat, and something happened and she fell overboard. As she was trying to get back in, her father cut off her fingers so that she could not get back in, which seems pretty gruesome. But the truth of what it is about, as Sedna then fell to the bottom of the ocean where she became the mother of the deep, and she gave birth to all sorts of water beings, the whales, the dolphins, all the fish, all beings that live in the water. She became their mother. And so what it is saying to me is about facing your destiny. We know that Jupiter opens doors, but it also often those Jupiter opens doors while closing other doors. And often it is the doors that close that allow others to open. That really opens our opportunity when that door behind us is shut and we cannot go back. Okay. And that how we move into our destiny as a creator. But we must let go of what we think we can't live without to become our most authentic selves and fulfill our soul mission. And this is a beautiful quote from White Eagle. He says, "The purpose of life is the evolution of the soul through experience. And some experiences are challenging, and we have signed up for them. And that is often when we have the most soul growth, is when we have a door closed and we have to create something new for ourselves. It pushes our edges to become self-realized." Okay. All right. So we're going to talk just a little bit about all the Aries energy. The North Node, Chiron, Eris, and Mars in Aries. Of course, Aries, especially with Chiron and Eris, and the North Node is pushing us in this direction, bringing up our triggers or unhealed trauma to the surface to be healed. And especially in Aries, the trauma is usually around anger. Well, it's not, it's also fear. Aries is the sign that's asked us to walk through our fears. Okay. That to develop courage, to have the courage to walk through our fears, and that is how we, Aries is the sign of the pioneer, the leader, and as they say, you might be afraid, but do it anyway. Okay, yeah, and that's how you actually work with your fear, is to do it anyway. And it's also about personal sovereignty, setting boundaries where we say no. And of course, we know there's still a lot of divisiveness and anger in the field. That's more the shadow side of Aries, and that's very strongly there. But as our vibration increases, I know for myself, I'm finding a desire for lack of engagement in any of the anger or divisiveness. And I'm really looking for common ground. And I feel like that's what's really happening when we stop projecting what lives within us onto others and own it. It helps us become more objective and see things more clearly. All right. Mars is conjunct the Andromeda galaxy at 28 degrees of Aries. And the Andromeda galaxy is said to be the galaxy of the Divine Mother, and said that she gave birth to the Milky Way galaxy. In the soul family cosmology that I study, they say the Andromeda galaxy is connected to the archetype of the great felines, who are warriors of the goddess and protect free will. And it is free will and our choices that grow the greater reality. But the goal is ultimately to use our free will to align with the divine will, our soul design. And so what will you create with your free will choice? And Uranus is still transiting in Taurus. I didn't mention that when we looked at the chart, but it's about changes in many things. But what I'm going to speak to today, of course, is about the ascension process. Mother Earth is ascending. And I want to just speak a moment to the recent geomagnetic storms and the aurora borealis again, because there is a site called Space Weather, and who talks about different things like this. And this is what they said. They said that the rocks and the soil during were electrified during the recent epic magnetic storm. Strong electrical currents surged through rocks and soil during the biggest geomagnetic storm in decades. The biggest voltages were along the US eastern seaboard and in the Midwest, and they were as much as 10,000 times their normal amount. And, we are being bombarded with high frequency energies as we travel the photon belt that carry these light codes that are energetically upgrading Mother Earth and humanity in the process of ascension into a fifth dimensional reality. And of course, Taurus is related to the body, and many are. And what I'm going to say is, I feel like these solar flares and the geomagnetic storms, of course, are activating our triggers within our energetic field, whether it's in our body, in our emotional body, in our mental body, kind of like wherever the blockages are, is triggering them to be able to help them push through. And I was really suffering with a lot of physical symptoms for a while, but they really seem to have subsided. But I'm certainly struggling as well with some emotional and mental limiting beliefs is really what's coming up in my field that I'm really working with. So it can end up anywhere. But it's about the new template to align with the ascension of Mother Earth is in progress. The ascended masters, also known as our elder brothers and sisters who walked the earth before us and have ascended, are here to help us in full force, to show us the way to ascension. They have done it and they are showing us. And what they say is that all who want to ascend will ascend, but there are those who do not want to, for they are not ready. So please be kind and understanding. It is still a part of our free will choice experiment here on Mother Earth that we must make the intention and choose to ascend. We are shifting into hyperspeed now, and in the next several years, it will accelerate. We are in the process of creating a new world and learning new steps in the dance of life. We are dancing with the magic now, learning new steps of creation through the language of love and the power of our thoughts and words to create as they align with our hearts. Let our hearts sing. Let us join our voices together in a song of love to create a new world. There's a beautiful hymn. I'm not sure where it came from. I think it's from the Unitarian Church. But there is a beautiful sentence in it that says, and I love this, it says, "Behold, there is magic all around us. Awaken, rejoice, and sing." And that is what I wish for you in the coming month. Namaste and blessings to all. And if you like this video, please check like and subscribe. And if you're interested in a reading with me, all of my information is in the description box. All right. Blessings to all and much love.